The Burj Khalifa is 828 meters tall. That is not the hard part. This is. Concrete was pumped 606 meters straight up in one stage. It is still a world record. Getting a building that high is a structural problem. Getting the material up there is a chemistry problem. Concrete is not really a liquid. It is rock, sand, cement, and water, and every one of those wants to separate. Push it through a pipe half a kilometer long, and the pressure alone can tear the mix apart. If it separates, it jams. A blockage at 400 meters is not something you clear with a rod. They would have had to cut the pipe open, high on the side of an unfinished tower. The Estifind cunulated to buy Tecagoil Stoyers, so the concrete had to survive a journey no concrete had ever made, and arrive still workable. Before any of that, though, they had a different problem. The ground under Dubai is not good ground. The tower does not sit on rock. It sits on weak sandstone and siltstone, saturated with groundwater. So they went down, 194 piles, each 1.5 meters across, 43 meters deep. Every pile carries 3,000 tons. Together they hold up the heaviest building anyone had attempted. The piles were poured underwater using a tremie pipe with polymer slurry holding the hole open. On top of them sits a raft of concrete 3.7 meters thick, 12,500 cubic meters. That raft was poured in 4 separate operations because no one can place that much concrete at once. And the groundwater there is chemically aggressive. Left alone, it would slowly eat the steel inside the concrete. So they installed cathodic protection beneath the raft, electrically defending the reinforcement from corrosion. The foundation was solved. Now they had to send the same material almost a kilometer into the sky. The structure uses 2 main concrete grades, C60 lower down, C80 where the loads are highest. C80 is very strong and very stiff, with a Young's modulus around 43,800. Stiffness matters more than you would think. A tower this tall must resist bending, not just crushing. But the stronger you make concrete, the less it wants to flow, and it has to flow up a pipe. Those two demands fight each other directly. Strength wants less water in the mix. Pumpability wants more. The answer was not more water. It was chemistry, and grading the aggregate so it slid instead of locking. The raft used self-consolidating concrete, a mix that flows into place and settles without being vibrated. Get that balance wrong by a little, and you either lose strength or lose the pour. And then, Dubai adds the one variable that ruins all of it: heat. Cement does not dry. It reacts, and that reaction gives off heat, and heat speeds the reaction up. In a Dubai summer, concrete leaving the plant is already warm before anything has been poured. Warm concrete stiffens fast. Stiff concrete in a 600-meter pipe is a blockage waiting to happen. so they chilled it. Shards of ice went into the mix at the batching plant, cooling it before it moved. Ice in the desert by the ton for 32 months so that concrete would stay soft long enough. Even that was not enough on its own. The daytime temperatures were simply too high to pour in. So the major pours happened at night when the air cooled and the mix had a chance. A tower rising in darkness, built on a schedule set by the temperature rather than by the workers. Which leaves the last problem, the pump itself, and the half-kilometer of steel pipe above it. Ordinary concrete pumps could not do this. The pressure needed to lift the mix that far is enormous. They used trailer-mounted high-pressure pumps, machines built for exactly this kind of extreme delivery. 3 of them handled the vertical work, feeding a rising line of steel pipe clamped to the structure. 4 stationary placing booms distributed the concrete once it arrived at the top. 606 meters in a single stage. No relay pumps, no intermediate holding tank. That is the record. One machine at the bottom, pushing material continuously to the top of the world. Every meter of that pipe was the failure everyone had been afraid of since the first pour. A jam meant cutting the line open at height, losing the pour, and losing the concrete already in it. It did not happen. That is the achievement, and it is a materials achievement, not a structural one. Across the whole project, they placed roughly 250,000 cubic meters of concrete. About 165,000 of that went into the tower itself, over 32 months. Inside it sits 39,000 tons of steel reinforcement, holding the concrete together as it works. The building is famous for its height. Height is the part that photographs well. But nobody set a record by stacking floors. They set it by keeping a mixture workable for 10 minutes. The hard part was never the tower. It was the material. In a pipe, in the heat, at night. Every tall building since has been built on what they learned about pumping and cooling that mix. The next time you see it lit up at night, remember it was poured at night too. One tower, 250,000 cubic meters, and tons of ice in the desert every single night.